To Smart Cities Exhibition 2025 Kuala Lumpur. We're on our third day. It's been a great time. We've had so many people coming in. We've had the Prime Minister here yesterday. It's been such a buzz. And with us today this afternoon is Professor Tay Kok Chin, right?
Thank you.
Or KC as you like to be called, right?
Most people will call me KC.
KC, who's the chairman of the Smart Cities Network here in ASEAN.
That's right.
And you're based in Singapore. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being with us. It's been a great time. We've had a lot of very interesting discussions here in this platform and elsewhere. I hope you've enjoyed. Have you had a chance to go around, enjoy some of the discussions?
I came here on the 16th and on the 17th itself, we launched the AI City Pitch Lab. We invited 8 cities from ASEAN to pitch their AI cities with digital twin and with the right business model.
Okay, so who's the winner?
Well, the top winner is from Philippines, San Jose Partido. So then we have a Thai city, and then the third is a Philippine city.
Wow, fantastic.
Unfortunately,
so the Filipinos and the Thais are taking it away.
A close shave is the pitch from Kulai from Johor.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately,
that's fantastic. It's really good to hear. Thank you so much for having the pitch. I think it was very exciting. I understand that we can have a conversation today around smart city financing. Right? So the whole idea of financing is that we want to undertake all this transformation, but at the end of the day, someone's going to pay for it. And as I understand it, is that how do you create bankable projects?
That's right.
So that we can bring in the investments and finance the projects. Can you elaborate on this idea?
It started because Smart Cities Network signed an MOU with UN Habitat for their program called Cities Investment Facility. As you know, your current mayor was the ED for UN Habitat.
That's right.
So we signed that MOU in 2022 at the World Urban Forum in Katowice, Poland. So that program, Cities Investment Facility, mandates that cities are expected to submit proposals which are bankable. And hence, we have carried on with that mission together with UN Habitat to help cities to identify projects with a revenue model. What it means to the investors, to the global financial institutions, and more importantly, the private sector. How do they get their return on investment?
Great. Can you elaborate? Can you give us some examples of what you would see are bankable projects?
Well, the World Bank has allocated hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So increasingly, they are looking at cities that would actually has a sustainable model. So a very good example, and I have spoken with the World Bank in Singapore, they would be willing to invest in projects that would save money for the city. For example, smart street lighting, converting thousands of the street light into LED, and that LED with a minimum of 40 to 50% savings. So if a city spent $1 million US dollar for smart street lighting, it saves 40 to 50%. It's 400,000 savings, and out of the savings, some part of it will go back to the investment made by the private sector, a third party that is willing to actually invest upfront. So that is a bankable project because the city doesn't have to come up with the upfront investment. So there's a return back to the city, and as long as there's a concession over the years, that it ultimately would have a benefit to the private sector. So that's one good example, and I can elaborate on the second one.
Please do.
Which is about the investment into innovation parks. So at the ASEAN Smart Cities Network, they have the Smart City Action Plans. So Singapore 2 years ago highlighted a project they did in Punggol Digital District. It's a first smart district in Singapore. What they did is that JTC, as the government agency, provided the land. They work with the academic institution, the Singapore Institute of Technology, and it's about $1 billion investment by the government. So what they did is that they now invited private sector to invest, like UOB invested half a billion, 500 million, to set up a center innovation center within the Punggol Digital District.
Right.
And then they invite innovators from the US to invest, to develop future leaders in Singapore, whereby they will recoup with resources, recoup with products that they can eventually market it in the region. So even though the government will put in the $1 billion Singapore dollars investment in constructing and creating the open digital platform, open data platform for students and the private sector to leverage off the data,
Right.
so that they will learn and incorporate AI into their learning.
Fantastic.
So that would be a good example with a digital twin of the Punggol Digital District, and that's how private sector will be leapfrogging other private sector, because they are into the forefront of technology with their investment.
That's very interesting. So what I hear is that on one hand, we can propose perhaps cost-saving projects
Yes.
that bring the cost down, and then you drive savings from that. On the other hand, you can also look at more innovation, revenue-based projects where the new revenue is generated, then financing it through that. So are we suggesting that this is what level of financings would say the World Bank or other agencies offer for projects such as this?
Well, the Asian Development Bank, in their country strategic partnership, they have a country-specific strategy partnership, have indicated an investment of 450 million euros from 2025 to 2029 for climate-related projects by Philippine cities.
Right.
So that project in itself, the cities are expected to submit proposal that show and demonstrate their commitment to address climate change. For resiliency, as you know, the Philippine city is the most exposed to typhoons, and hence a large percentage of that will go into minimizing the impact of disasters.
Right.
And that's an example. And a lot of smart city projects today are mostly into cost savings and productivity and faster response to emergencies.
Yeah, I get it. So we are really talking about de-risking, right? That's a
Yes,
critical
that's right.
element.
That's the term, yes.
So that you de-risk, you have got financing blocking, and what are some practical mechanisms can cities adopt to assure that private investors are safe in their investment?
Well, there will be several factors,
Yeah.
right? And I think among those factors will be one, political stability is one, and second, the policy and the governance and agreement has to be honored, right? You don't want a situation, and I think a classic case would be the case of Amaravati in Andhra Pradesh.
Yes.
Right? World Bank put in 300 million, and private sector has done the urban planning, and there were Singapore investors, and ultimately, because the Chief Minister Chandra Babu was not in office, the whole project collapsed. So I think that's important, that honoring the contract and the ability for continuity of political stability is a very important component. Of course, the other component would be how the people will be ready to onboard that.
Yeah.
When we did, and I did the IBM Smarter City Challenge project in Singapore, and we did a few in the region. We have actually, like for example, Penang and in Bandung, we did the Smarter City project. I did the Singapore one in 2012. The people were not ready to use the system.
Right.
So capacity building to make sure that the people are skilled enough to understand what is a smart city and how they can use sophisticated systems to run the smart city projects.
Yeah, it's not easy, right? Because you have got a lot of local conditions, you've got possible political changes. Sometimes you even have now recurring natural disasters like flooding. So, in a sense that whatever projects roll out, how do we actually, as I said, mitigate the risk and manage it? And I suppose another key aspect is how do we collect data, right? Data transparency in order to show that these projects are actually having an impact on society.
So the collection of data is determined by the outcome that it generates and the analysis of the outcome that it does generate. So that's why the benchmarking of cities based on their data collection with indicators. So they must be first KPIs, right? Key performance indicators, and those key performance indicators would indicate the kind of improvement that has been made. So that's why certification of cities is an important component. And of course, the Plan Malaysia has got the different levels of cities. So you go from the early adopters to up to the visionary city leaders. So the city has to progress over time, and the people has to be on board with it. The collection of data must be accurate, and those accuracy will then translate into meaningful results. It must be what we call an outcome-based approach.
Yeah, I think understanding the outcome and being able to track it effectively over long periods of time is very critical. So I think that we've talked about some of the priorities, the financing models. Who are normally the champion of this? Are these proposals coming from the city councils, or are they normally private sector players that essentially propose the projects?
It has to come from the politics. The city leaders.
The city leaders, so, they must want the project.
So I think Malaysia, I'm very glad that you have established a few years ago the Ministry of Digital.
Yes, right.
And that becomes a coordinating agency for smart cities.
Yes.
Because in my opinion, and being in this for more than a decade, the smart city model should be the development model of cities if they are to progress into future cities.
Yes.
So political leadership is number one, right? And then it goes down and filter down to the government agencies. They have to support the agency with budgets as well. So the coordination of the Ministry of Digital with the KPKT, with Ministry of Transport, with the other agencies is paramount for the success of smart city development in Malaysia.
That often can be a challenge, right? Because, for example, transport can sit in one ministry, housing can be in a different ministry.
Well, that's the problem that Singapore faced when they announced Smart Nation in 2014. It was part under the Infocom Development Authority, thinking it's an IT project, and all they did at that time was the Smart Nation sensor network, put in sensor network to collect data. But the budgets of the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Transport all belongs to those ministries. So in 2017, in May, PM Lee announced, then PM, announced the formation of the Smart Nation Digital Government Group, comprising GovTech for government technology and Smart Nation Digital Government Office to engage with the citizens and the business community. And that's only when all the people involved in IT projects and projects in the other ministries were parked under that Smart Nation group. And I hope this will be what the Ministry of Digital should do, that people involved in the IT side of the other ministries should be within the Ministry of Digital, and the budgets allocated for digital should be within the Ministry of Digital.
Right. So you actually have to create a smart partnership between ministries.
Yes.
Or different levels of government. It could be even between federal,
a structure.
state.
The structure must be there, and the budget must be there too.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that the political structures need to be in place. Obviously, the political vision and motivation.
Which you have that.
Yes, definitely.
Right? PM Anwar mentioned yesterday they want to be an AI nation by 2030.
Yes.
And to do that, the structure, the systems, the processes must be in place.
So all the key elements have to be in place, and then of course you have the private sector, and then the opportunities for financing through bankable projects.
As long as the government allocates the budget, the private sector will come in.
That's right. That's right. When the budget is there, the private sector can come in. Definitely. But thank you so much. I think I really enjoyed your illustrating the financial aspects of projects, right? So that it doesn't stand just in the cloud, actually comes down and we can realize these projects.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Most
welcome. I hope you still can walk around and see a little bit more and enjoy the smart city.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, so we'll just have a couple of seconds before they cut off. Then you can walk around and see a few things. Okay. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.